You ever wonder where the names for colors actually come from? Some are pretty obvious, right? Like sky blue. But we are about to dig into the bizarre, very royal, and, let's be honest, kind of unhygienic story behind one particular color. A color born from a vow that lasted for over 3 years.
So the color at the very heart of our story is Isabelline. Okay, so what is it? It's this pale, sort of yellowish-brown shade that you'd probably see on animals, like the Isabelline bear up in the Himalayas, or a little songbird called the Isabelline wheatear. Just picture a very specific, kind of earthy tone. But here's the thing. Where did that name come from? It's not named after a plant, or a rock, or even one of those animals. No, the legend behind this word is way stranger than that. It involves a European princess, a really brutal war, and a very, very long unwashed piece of royal laundry.
So who was this princess who made such a memorable vow? Well, let's meet Infanta Isabella.
This is Isabella Clara Eugenia. She was the daughter of Spain's super powerful King Philip II. So in the early 1600s, she finds herself co-ruling the Spanish Netherlands, which was this huge territory covering parts of modern-day France, Belgium, and Holland. And she's doing this during the incredibly violent 80 Years' War.
Right, so this war had been raging for decades, but it was about to focus all of its fury on one single, solitary city, Ostend.
By 1601, the Spanish forces were getting pretty desperate to get the upper hand against the Dutch rebels and their English allies. So they decided to target the coastal city of Ostend. Why? Because it was the last Dutch stronghold in the entire region. Taking it would be a massive morale boost and a huge strategic win.
Now, Isabella was totally convinced that her husband's army would capture this little fishing town in no time. So convinced, in fact, that she made a legendary vow. She would not change her undergarments until Ostend was back under Spanish control.
So, Isabella and the entire Spanish leadership, they're expecting a quick victory. A matter of days, maybe weeks. Oh boy, they could not have been more wrong. The brutal reality of war was about to set in, not just for the soldiers on the battlefield, but for Isabella's wardrobe too.
The Spanish army basically ran headfirst into a brick wall of problems. See, Ostend wasn't some sleepy fishing village anymore. Its defenses had been seriously beefed up. Thousands of Dutch troops were brought in to defend it. But the biggest problem? The city had an open channel to the sea, which meant a constant stream of supplies could get in from England. And this channel was protected by these impassable mudflats, so the Spanish just couldn't cut it off. What was supposed to be a quick fight just turned into this brutal, grinding stalemate. The Siege of Ostend lasted for 1,173 days. Let that sink in. That's over 3 years. Finally, in September of 1604, the Spanish broke through and took control of the city. So they won. They got what they wanted. But it was a victory in name only. The price they paid for this one town was absolutely devastating. I mean, the cost was just staggering. Thousands and thousands of Spanish soldiers died. The national treasury was left completely bankrupt. And to make matters even worse, while Spain was so focused on Ostend, their enemies went and captured the equally important port of Sluis just down the coast. So, the war eventually paused for this uneasy truce. But what about Isabella's vow? After more than 3 long years, she could finally fulfill her pledge. Or, I guess, end it. So, the story goes that Isabella stayed true to her word for all 1,173 days. And as you can probably imagine, after all that time, her once crisp white undergarments, well, let's just say they were no longer a pristine shade of white. And that right there is how it happened. In one of the absolute strangest origin stories in the dictionary, Infanta Isabella gave her name not to some regal white or royal purple, but to this sandy, beige-like shade of yellow, the color Isabelline, forever linked to a 3-year-old promise and a brutal, bloody siege.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? A simple name for a color can hide this entire history of royal vows and epic battles. How many other incredible stories are hiding in plain sight just in the words we use every single day?